So to get started, I really like to know how everyone's humble beginnings were with voice acting.
Oh my goodness, yes. Well, it's funny. I mean, my trajectory into acting was actually through ice dancing. So I started out as a figure skater, which brought me to Florida when I was 18 to find a skating partner. And that eventually, through a sort of convoluted story, led me to Quebec, where I eventually went to theater school. And while I was at theater school, found voice acting as well. I took a course and learned that you could manipulate your voice and do characters with it, and then you could actually, put them into things. Before that, I'd never even considered that that was a possibility. And I knew instantly that I was riveted by it, drawn to it. Not everybody was at that time. I was like, oh, really? There's only a few people in the class that really enjoyed it. And I was like, oh, this is totally my bag. So I started to make my first demos, and while I was pursuing theater and other kinds of acting, I also developed the voice acting strand of my career. So, yeah, about that.
Do you find that your background in acting helped a lot with you voice acting?
They're the same thing. I think if I could give anybody a piece of advice, that if you've asked a lot of people in the industry that have been doing it for a while, they're all going to say the same thing. If you're doing video games and dramatic scripts and kind of any sort of voice acting, but particularly ones that develop characters for the actual job, it's acting. So your first skill is learn acting. It's not about the heights to which you can go to, transform your voice. If you don't have a character behind that, it will go flat. It's all about developing character, and that comes through acting practice. So.
That's super cool. Are you one of the voice actors that's very expressive when you're recording? Do you move around a lot?
It's funny. It kind of depends on the character, maybe. I don't think that it's always in the body, for sure. It's a very physical thing. And I'm always using different parts of the body, like I'll put maybe energy in a different place, but not all the characters themselves are naturally that expressive too. So I know some people might do singing techniques where they do hand movements and they, throw their voice and try to put energy up and, move around. Actually, funny enough, I was just doing an ADR, like a dubbing project last week for a Spanish series, and so I'm like dubbing over one of the voices for an actor there. And they're walking and running through the space, and you're in the space walking and running and doing all the same stuff to just make sure that you have the same energy going in, breath, and all the life, they call it, the pre-life and the post-life around the lines. Really important to focus on that too if you're an actor. So it really depends on the character, but kind of in the same way that TV and film is, you're not always doing a lot of movement if it's not naturally what the character would be doing. So you might have to sit fairly still and deliver a line, and that might actually feel sort of natural for that character, with or without just the voice.
Were there many opportunities that you found yourself kind of like making uh-ohs in the booth and you're just like, oh wow, that was really funny? Like, I would love to see blooper reels in video games because of how like human people are. And
yeah.
I'm just like, I would love this.
Yes, definitely. And that also very much depends on the style of the project. Sometimes those things make it into the game, and sometimes people will just be like, hey, can you, we just need a line where you can like burp in a few different ways, and you're like, oh, okay, and you're like trying to find like, how do I burp right now? Like, what do I use? Or they're like, okay, we need you to do like you're being strangled and you're being slashed and you're choked, and you're like, okay, how do I choke in a few different ways? And then you try stuff. It doesn't always work, Sometimes we'll do like you'll gargle, so I'll take like water and I'll gargle it to be like simulate blood or something like that. Yeah.
Have you ever tried to play any of the Legend of Zelda games that you're in?
I have, yeah. And in fact, when I found out that I was doing Zelda, I went back and played Twilight Princess, and I had grown up with the original, and also Ocarina of Time was something that I'd known. But I played a little bit more, and then I did play Breath of the Wild, but I honestly found it like quite overwhelming when the game came out, because like all you can think about is like work when you're watching something that your own voice is in, and it's been so analyzed and critiqued. And you're talking about it constantly, and you're traveling around, and you're sort of living in the world as your part of your life. And then you go and you play a game, and you're like, this is just a lot. This is just a lot of Zelda, like all the time. So it doesn't have the same kind of like escapist decompression element to it. So I think I played about 40 hours of Breath of the Wild, and then rage quit. under a waterfall. I was like, I'm done, man. I can't get out from this waterfall, and I'm done.
Do you feel that playing Zelda is very like true to your character, and does that make it easier, or do you find her very different to you?
I mean, I think parts of her are similar to me. I think you always, when you're approaching any character, you find the stuff that you relate to naturally, and then sometimes the most interesting stuff can happen when you don't relate right away, and you have to kind of reach for it a little bit more, where more imagination comes. But I'd say probably of a lot of the characters I've played, there's a certain essence that she has that I very much feel is inside of me, and I think a lot of people can relate to that character. I mean, I think she's such an easy character to relate to in general, with just what she's dealing with on a regular basis in the world, how she's written, aside from the magic part and being able to, draw from fantasy magic, which I wish I could relate to that very much, but I can't. But yeah, elements of her loving nature and actually her just being really earnest and feeling like she's failing a lot of the time, and life is hard, but she really, really wants to connect. I think those are really relatable things for a lot of people. So I feel like I get to talk to a lot of people about that, about what they love about that character. I'm like, yeah, and then we get to relate, and then the people get to relate, and we relate through Zelda, and it's awesome. A lot of relating going on.
Yeah. Is there one video game or anime or anything that you've always wanted to be a part of?
I mean, I grew up, my first cosplay was Shira, Princess of Power.
Nice.
But I kind of feel like, in a way, like they've done great new iterations of that. And also, I kind of feel like Zelda, so unexpectedly, is almost in, they're not the same, but there are a lot of similarities in a way of the sort of warrior princess archetype. So I kind of feel like I fulfilled something that was very much a childhood dream, both in just being here in the first place, but also the style of character that I grew up like rawing, outside with my little like plastic shield and sword, and feeling very, very, very cool. Oh my God! Somebody's running at the and he's gonna come up and it's Sonic! Sonic! Sonic, come back! Oh my
Okay,
God.
see ya. Didn't even stay for a chili dog.
Oh man, he really had to go very fast, didn't he? That's the best.
Like,
that just made my day. Did that make our day? Is that like, oh, Roger.
What a beautiful Sunday.
Didn't expect that. Yeah.
I did. I knew.
Oh, you did?
I
You
knew.
did? You knew?
Yes.
Is that it? Is he going to come back?
Well, I'm not for that I know of. We were sitting up, we were plotting, and he's like, I want to ruin stuff. And I was like, I'll be in room 122 at 3 p.m. And he's like, done.
He's got a huge line. He's probably going to go back and get to that. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Hey, at least he'll be invigorated from that run. I was like, someone's
Actually, yeah.
running? Where? Oh.
He enjoys the exercise, so. Yeah.
I'm telling him that.
Oh, wow, that was so random. Yeah.
How long does, how much time goes into recording lines for like Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom? How much time was invested in recording?
So those things vary a lot, and in fact, I'm not supposed to go too much into detail about that stuff. It's like in my little NDAs, but in general, games like that, especially when they're dubbed over, you have the original version, which is pretty much not entirely finished, but it's very much mapped out. A lot of it's recorded before they localize the dubs into the different countries. And then the way that we work in America is we have, which is exactly what the character sounds like, America. We have like sort of you do things in like 4-hour sessions, unless they're vocally stressful, then hopefully you get smaller sessions to account for that. But something like this might take, if you see like there's not a ton of cutscenes, but there's a substantial amount of storyline. So for me personally, maybe about 40 hours, 45 hours in total of work, split up into sessions. Yeah, I'd say like that's sort of like the rough estimate. And And it varies very much game to game. You can have vastly different experiences. So with other games, you might be working on it for like 9 months or a year, kind of on and off in long, motion capture sessions, scrapping things, bringing things back. We've had games that have been entirely scrapped and turned into other stuff. Some of the stuff is recycled, built with new stuff, and then it becomes a new game. It's like just crazy stuff like that. You really never know. But yeah, with dubbing, because it's all like very sort of formalized and stuff before you get it, that's roughly about the time, I'd say. Yeah.
I can only imagine that the voice actor for Link maybe only went in for 10 minutes and went,
I think he did, yeah.
And then left.
Yeah, he basically he tripped on the floor on the way in, and he woke up and he was like, oh, God, that was exhausting. Okay, bye.
And then everyone in the booth
they just took the whole thing, yeah.
Yeah. Amazing. We'll see you next year.
Yeah.
Do you see yourself hoping for more stuff from Nintendo, not just to be Zelda, but to be
a Korok?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Christina V's got a lot of that stuff covered. She's amazing. So, I will always want to work with Nintendo, whatever they would throw my way. I honestly it's so funny, to be a title character of something is like this wild gift, but whenever you're part of a big franchise in any capacity, it is a major gift. It's really hard to get there, and it's hard to get those parts, and so I just they're big wins. But I really do feel like that if I get to be part of any cool ensemble or game company that's known for doing such high quality work, I just love working, guys. It's such a big deal to work, to be a working actor and to pay your way as an actor. That in and of itself is a huge accomplishment. So anybody who's doing that, I'm just like, yes. And anybody who even makes half a living doing that and they stick with it, it's amazing. It's, you got to take those wins where they come. So, but yeah, of course. Yeah. Ask me back anytime. Absolutely.
Nintendo.
Yeah. Hey, Nintendo. Yeah.
See you soon.
You heard of me? My name is Patricia. And,
yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have any pointers for any voice actor hopefuls in the audience today?
I totally do. It would depend on what part of your journey you're in. In fact, it's funny, I just found that I'd been getting a lot of different kinds of questions, and I thought, what could I offer as resources for people? And it's funny, at my table right now, I've handed out one of them because I forgot that I had them. I just printed out a series of resources that I find that I really enjoy. There's a book reference, a podcast reference. These are free or very minimal amounts of money. And then a place to get training, a place to get coaching, and what else do I have on there? Anyway, it's just a one-pager list that I give out for free. So if anybody is interested and wants one of those, hopefully I have enough left and I can, just hand them out for free if you'd like those references. They're the ones that I vet, that I know, that I find the people that have made that. It's not that they're the only great resources out there, but it has things like D. Bradley Baker's website, which people reference. But if you ever read that website, iwanttobeavoiceactor.com, it is one of the most comprehensive websites I've ever seen for kind of any level of career. And then, you have some other stuff on there. So, if you're interested, come to my table, and I'll give you a little handout of my resources that I think are great.
I love that.
But first off, voice acting is acting. And if you want to get into voice acting and you want to do video games and you want to do animation, you can learn techniques, and that all comes along, but acting training, because it is not just about the voices. It's about how do you take direction? How do you analyze a script? How do you study what's happened before you in terms of all the storytelling that's existed since, Aristotelian storytelling, all the archetypes, all that stuff you can learn through acting, training, just getting theory, just a bit of everything, and networking. So it's the training and the networking that's really important. And so it's not just I have to train to be an actor. It's not that. It gives you a place to fail. It gives you a place to try things that you don't want to just go out and publish all that stuff right away. You want to be able to fall and fall and fall and fall, so you learn through your failure what you're going to do better, what works for you, your process. You need to have a process when you go into the room, because you need to know what you're offering, and you need to know your range, all those things. So that's why I just say acting.
Mm-hmm. I would like to open up the mic in the center for anyone who would like to ask Patricia some questions.
Island thoughts.
Was there a
Get some
time
great
where you
serenading.
felt Zelda and became her? Like it just clicked? Also, do you mind if I play a song from when Zelda cries as she flies away in Tears of the Kingdom?
I don't mind at all. I would say there are certain cutscene moments where you feel really tapped in. The part in the first where she accesses her powers, also where she's just chilling out. Some of those scenes are just, you're really in the moment and you're feeling it all in your body and you're like not analyzing it too much, you're just doing it. Yeah, those are great moments. Oh, that's so lovely. Thank you so much. You are such a talent. That's beautiful. Thank you. Made my weekend. Thank you. Best birthday gift ever.
Pleasure to meet you, Patricia. Such an honor.
It is such a pleasure to meet you too.
So, name's Ran, by the way. Anyways, I heard first time I heard she was Princess Zelda, and I pretty much admired what you did. Anyway, and it's like you explained earlier. So my question for you is, when you were recording the lines that you mentioned earlier of Princess Zelda, but what was your favorite line you ever recorded? Like either favorite moment or anything, like a favorite moment when you asked Princess Zelda?
Oh, my favorite moment, favorite line. I've got a few of my favorite quotes that I have from the first and second game. I won't say them in the voice right now because people are recording and I'm like, not going to do that. I can do it in your ear if you come up to my table, if you know that I do that. But I really enjoy the quote, "Courage need not be remembered, for it is never forgotten." It's a great quote. There's so many good ones. And obviously some cutscenes from Tears of the Kingdom that are, transformational and amazing. I was silent screaming in the booth when I found out what I was going to be doing. It was so exciting. So yeah, probably those.
Thank you very much. Pleasure.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you.
Hello.
Hello.
I wonder, as you are in the booth, like recording, do they give you like the scene and you're actually watching it, or is it like earlier in the development, or and how much do they give you before and after? Like, how much do you know about
What you're gonna do?
Yeah, Kevin Nintendo's so tight-lipped about things. I wondered how much they actually give you to work with.
It's sort of like, again, it totally depends on the project. I'll speak a little bit, in gray areas there, but in general, projects like that, you'll get sometimes, especially when you're taking on a little bit of an accent, they'll give you the script a bit ahead of time so you can just sort of get a general idea of what you're recording. And usually when you're dubbing, you have a video in front of you because you have to watch the lip flaps and you have to see. And so you also may have references of other voices that have, like the Japanese voice. But that can be very useful on one level and useful to disregard on another because you have to make it your own and you have to give it your own intonation and cultural references as well. So they're great sort of general references, and then you move forward from there. I've always gotten like a little bit of prep time because obviously they don't send out information at all because it's so easy to leak those things and you've got to be so careful. And obviously they're very, very secret about it for good reason. I've usually had like a bit of prep time before, and by that I mean like maybe a day or two or something like that, where I can kind of like sit in and sink in, and then you're all there for it when it comes.
All right, thank you.
My pleasure. You guys like that question? All right.
Who's your favorite character from like any Zelda game? Other than Zelda.
Other than Zelda. She's not my favorite character. What are you talking about? I really like Urbosa, honestly. I really do.
Urbosa's a good character.
She's awesome.
And then can I play Zelda's Lullaby?
Yes, you can. I love it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Love your homemade shield, by the way, too. Yeah, that's great. Thank you. Hi.
I have a quick question for you, Patricia.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask two things. Did you get to meet the director for Nintendo? And what was your inspiration to make Zelda's voice?
So the one who directed Tears of the Kingdom in English is Hari Lee. So yes, I have met her. She is so cool. She's so much fun. I've not met Shigeru Miyamoto. I've not met Eiji Aonuma. Funny enough, we were sort of slated to meet potentially at an E3, and it didn't end up happening. And now E3 doesn't exist anymore, and I'm like, oh no! I hope to remedy this at some point in my life. I really hope that will get to happen. It's on my bucket list for sure. And as far as creating Zelda's voice, it was something that in the specs of the script, before I knew who she was, because I auditioned for it without knowing what I was auditioning for, it was totally secret. I just invented the voices based on the essential, like the bleached script that I was given. And they had things like, like 19-year-old, but much older, depending, like wise beyond her years, weight of the world on her shoulders. And they sort of gave like general descriptions like that. And so I played with my voice and found something up here, that would like work. And then I would sort of play around and I was like, probably something like that. And then I was like, I'm going to give her a sort of RP going in, an RP accent-ish, because it was like UK fantasy based, something along those lines in a very broad spectrum. But I really didn't know what I was auditioning for. So I was just kind of like you do all the time. You throw it out into the ether and see what comes back. And that one came back.
Thank you.
Very strongly. Thank you.
Hello.
Hi.
Nice to meet you.
nice
I
to
just had one question.
Yeah.
Have you ever voiced in any indie projects, or do
Oh,
you
yeah.
ever want to voice in any?
Oh,
indie
I love
projects?
indie projects, yeah.
Okay.
Thinking, like, one of my favorite indie games that I'd done in the last few years was Omen Sight. It's, I did a few different characters for that. An elderly crone who speaks sort of like this. This was her general, voice. And then a princess that sounded a little bit more, in the vein of Zelda, and then generally warrior characters like this is what I tend to get cast in a lot. So had like something along, often indie games are places that you get to stretch a lot and you get to experiment with. There's also, something coming out recently or coming out soon. It's going to be an indie project. I don't even know what defines indie anymore. Like you see, it's like if it's released on Steam, it might be indie. That's kind of it. But yeah, I got a few coming out. I'm not sure if I can talk about it. Anyway, I won't, but love indie games, yes.
Thank you so much.
Pleasure. Oh yeah, there we go, microphone. You got this.
Hello.
Hi.
I wanted to ask, did you feel any pressure kind of finding that you were one like the first people to kind of voice Zelda in a mainline project, and it's like this whole big game, and most other games just kind of carried only like text only dialogue, so it's like you actually had to really voice all these different emotions?
Totally, yeah. Once I found out what it was, that I had a long time to sit there and think about all the different ways that could go. And that's that's something. It really is. Also, at that time, I landed this role by taking a big career move. I'd been acting for 10 years, and it came after this move to LA. So it was one of the first things I auditioned for when I got there. Landed the role, and then was like, oh my god. Okay, and then it was about a year of sort of waiting for it to come out, and you don't know until a game comes out what's going to happen, and you also don't even know if your voice is going to remain in the game sometimes. Like there's so much mystery around those things. You're just the actor. So I was pretty stressed that year. It was pretty nerve-wracking, but also very exciting, and a good indication that I'd made a very good move in my career, and that taking risks was a great idea. I was ready for that risk, to move to LA and stuff. So
Thank you very much.
Pleasure. Oh, I remember you guys.
What's your
Hi.
favorite princess other in Zelda?
Oh, probably Princess Leia. Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Hello.
Hi.
Oh my, it's so high.
You got it.
Yeah.
Oh, thank
it
you.
comes off.
Drop the mic.
What was going through your mind when you got the role of Zelda?
Like I was skydiving. Many things were going through my mind. I was like, I really need to brush up deeply on the lore. And so the first thing I did was buy a Hyrule Historia and started going through that. I was like, whoo, this is going to be big. That was what was going through my mind. That was
Thank
right.
you.
Pleasure.
Hello.
Hi.
So if 12-year-old saw you now, what
If
would
who
you
saw
say?
me now?
If 12-year-old you saw you
Oh,
now.
12-year-old me. Oh,
Yeah.
oh my
what
gosh.
would she say or do?
Wow. She would say, I'm trying to think, 12 was a fascinating time. I was living in small town, rural Michigan, and about to have a pretty hard high school time. I would say there's a whole life beyond this high school experience and this place that you can make into all sorts of things that don't exist in your present surrounding. So keep hopeful and keep working hard and follow your passions. That's what I would, yeah.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Hello.
Hi.
What's the question? So Patricia, this is my nephew Diego.
Yeah,
He would
hi,
like
Diego.
To ask you probably the hardest question you've been asked.
Uh-oh.
At all. Go ahead.
All right. What's your favorite Legend of Zelda game?
Oh,
That
that is a hard question.
I'm so sorry.
Moments of each, but I would probably say, toss up between, because I'm partial to Breath of the Wild, I would go Ocarina of Time, probably.
Hello, hello. It's a pleasure.
Hello, hello. It is a pleasure too.
I'm interested. With your family and close friends, do they play any Zelda games? And if they do, like, how do they react when they hear your voice?
My dad, he'd be so embarrassed that I'd be saying this. Just recently, he was traveling and he found a life-size figurine of Link, like a billboard, and he was like, "Hey, it's Patricia." They sent a picture, and I was like, "Dad, no."
I am so sorry.
He's a great dad, but he doesn't play video games. He's a dentist. I have, other people have come out of the woodwork that do play Zelda, and always surprising people that like family, friends, and stuff like that, and that's always a big delight. But yeah, my family's not really a video game family, so unfortunately, I can't be like, "Hey guys," they're like, "Oh, that sounds lovely, honey." We support you.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Hello. So I'm not sure if you actually know, but when it comes to I'm not sure if you could answer it, but when it comes to dubbing in the other languages, for again the other versions like Japanese or German, is there does Nintendo have a general form rule for how they wanted Zelda to sound, or was it completely they were looking for a unique interpretation?
That is a great question. Yeah. I suspect, just by my experiences there, they're trying to capture an essence and a vibe. They always are, something that might be in the vein, but you're always also adjusting to the rhythm and the song of a different language. Obviously some anime, they go for vocal matches. I don't think, if Nintendo America was looking for that, and it gets approved by everybody, but if they were looking for that, then I wouldn't be here. They were looking for something that was, that felt right, that felt genuine and authentic for what they were, the essence, I think, more than a vocal match or something like that. Because I think all the Zeldas, much less a lot of the other characters, there are significant differences in some of them and not others. It sort of depends. But yeah, I don't really know. I wouldn't really be able to answer that question with any real accuracy. Except that I don't think I actually sound specifically vocal quality-wise much like the Japanese version, who's the original version. I think I sound something more like would be the idea of what the Western princess would sound like, something like that.
Thank you.
Yeah, pleasure.
Hello.
Hello.
I love music, and music is so big in Zelda. So I want to know what you're listening to, and what do you think Princess Zelda would be listening to right now?
It's so funny. I have a band, and we've released 2 albums. Last album was last May, which was released actually within a week of the Zelda game. Part of that was because we just couldn't wait any longer, and I didn't want to be releasing anything and then have people asking me about Zelda. So we're like, let's just release it right after. That's a good. I mean, I feel like I would answer that differently depending on the mood of the day and what I'd eaten for breakfast. My music tastes are extremely eclectic. I suspect hers would be too. I can't really speak to a character that doesn't exist entirely, but and I also didn't write her, and so it would almost be a question for the writers, what would you have Zelda listening to? But I guess as the actor, I'd be she'd like old school classic rock, she would love classical, she would love complex jazz music, and then she would like some pop. She would, I'm not going to try to name any brands because people are recording this, and I don't want anybody to be like, oh, Patricia said she likes Taylor Swift, or something like that. No, please don't associate with me with any. I just have to be a little careful, but yeah, broad flavors. What is your favorite music? That's what I would ask.
Well, right now I'm really listening to some alt pop. I'm really into Ali X's new album.
Okay.
What is your band called?
It's actually just. This is the lamest name ever. I'm so sorry. It's called Summersett, but we named it long before Zelda ever happened and before I was known in the world, with my name. So we were like, and I'm like, can we change it? And the band's like, no, we like that name. It sounds like a place. It's an English place. And I'm like, yeah, but anyway. And also I have sisters who are all singers. So I have 3 sisters, and all of them sing. 2 of them, one of them is an opera singer, one of them was a folk singer, and the other one kind of gloms on and is now songwriting. And so we call ourselves the Summersett Sisters in this very tiny little folksy way. So that was kind of an offshoot of that. That's why it's named that. But yeah, Summersett, and we call it Summersett Band. We play as 8. We do violin, cello, bass drums, piano, voice, and then 2 other singers. So it's just like a good old time when we get a chance to perform.
Cool. Thank you.
Pleasure.
Hello, pleasure to speak to you again.
Yes, you too.
My question is, I'm amazed but not surprised that you know how to write in the Hylian language. Would you consider yourself fluent, and how long did it take you to at least learn how to at least write in that language?
So there is no spoken version of that language.
Okay, that's right.
So that means that the written version, which is essentially it's the Twilight Princess Hylian. So the glyphs of that they're very much based on the English alphabet. So it's 26 glyphs, and so in that I am fluent for sure. Mm-hmm. If there was a spoken version, I would have learned it a long time ago, no doubt. I wish, but I could say, yeah, I'm fluent in Twilight Princess Hylian, absolutely.
How long would you say it took you to memorize each character? I don't know.
It wasn't actually that Zelda Universe and other wonderful bodies of Zelda fans have gone in and they've taken all the glyphs and transposed them and translated them. You can actually find a Twilight Princess Hylian font, and you can change your documents into Twilight Princess Hylian if you want to. So you can learn it actually fairly easily by just it took me probably several months of just sitting there with my coffee and writing my ABCs in Hylian.
Right.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, I'm Elijah. So my question is just, do you hear yourself a lot in Princess Zelda? When you hear the voice that they created for her, do you feel like they altered that heavily? Did
they didn't alter it. I've had people in other game companies come in and say, when I'm recording something, they're like, so did they do something to your voice to pitch it? And I'm like, no, I'm a voice actor. But I know it doesn't sound, it sits up here, right?
Yeah.
So it's yeah, I didn't. I don't. I definitely hear bits of my voice in it, and it also when I'm connecting it to lines, there's always an intention behind the line. So I'm feeling it as I'm doing it, but it is a fragile balance. It's like it sits in a place that's like a little less natural. Obviously, my voice sounds very different from that.
Very deep.
But there are the grains of my low voice in that voice. I think it has like a texture to it. So it's just, if I could say, yeah, I do hear myself in it. And some lines more than others, you know, depending on how she's feeling, I guess.
Yeah. Thank you.
Pleasure. Oh yeah, you're so natural with that
Yeah.
microphone.
So I have a question for my dad.
Uh-huh.
What is your favorite, well, your top favorite Zelda musical composition?
Oh my gosh. I hear a lot of like Zelda lullabies coming my way. Like I get serenaded with that. It is one of my deep joys. I mean, I really like the old school, like just the traditional Legend of Zelda riffs that come back through. And I find what's so nice about those games is the way they use the old melodies and they interweave them with the new stuff. And you find it sort of like they do callbacks to all the different games in there. I don't know. I mean, like the Breath of the Wild soundtrack is incredible. It's so different and interesting. So I think about that one a lot because as soon as I hear certain piano riffs or something, I'm like, oh, yeah. I have like a bodily reaction to it. I don't know. Maybe like Kakariko Village and little like the woods, the Lost Woods. You know what I'm thinking? Yeah, I don't know. I like them all. I like the little melodies that come in and out of there. But, you know, I do like being serenaded by Zelda's lullaby, so, you know, feel free.
Thank you.
Well, hello.
Hello. I hope your day's going well.
Horrible, guys.
Oh,
guys.
man.
But, yeah.
It's about to get worse. No, but
I mean, look, I'm having a very charmed day, charmed weekend.
As you know, I'm a huge Zelda fan, and as most of us are. But I've been recently getting into Rainbow Six Siege.
Oh.
And I wanted to know how it was like working with Ubisoft and the Rainbow Six Siege while voicing Ash.
I've done a fair bit of work with Ubisoft. I've done some of the Assassin's Creed series, Ghost Recon Breakpoint, all of those involved, and Rainbow Six Siege, they've all involved like full performance capture. Rainbow Six is one of my favorites because Ash started in 2015, and then I had to re-audition for the part to get the performance capture version of it, because it's a whole different beast, and I had to audition it several times to get back the part that I'd already established with my voice. Finally, I got that part, which was like the biggest relief ever. And then since then, it's been like, 7 years of Ash, So that's wild. Some of the funnest things I've done on that game are watching the Siege Invitationals in real life, just watching like pro players, just unbelievable game players. And doing the motion capture where we have to do SWAT training and stuff like that in the room. And working with people like Chonka, and Thermite. Carlos Mistroni, he's an incredible actor and director. And they're just, it's real acting work. It's like acting shop work, full body, I've loved that experience. It's been one of my all-time favorites.
That's good to hear. Thank you.
Pleasure.
Hello.
Hi. Oh, it has nothing. The mic just does that. It has nothing to do with you. Don't take it personally.
I will try not to.
Hi.
Hi. So, Zelda in Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom goes on a pretty substantial journey from the beginning of one game to the end of the next.
Ooh.
Can you speak to your experience of developing Zelda's voice from your initial audition to the end of recording for Tears, and how you incorporated her journey into your performance?
That's a really interesting. When Tears of the Kingdom came out, I got a lot of questions about like how has it evolved, and I'm like, well, it's evolved a lot because not only in 7 years of being the voice of Zelda, you have your initial audition, which is essentially throwing out ideas, like throwing paint onto a piece of paper. Then that gets directed, and then so it's been 3 games, and then Hyrule Warriors came along where she was a playable fighting character. with a lot of new lore, but same world. And then by the time Tears of the Kingdom, we'd been through a pandemic. We'd been like, I'd already gone and met fans all over the world and sort of just done a lot of thinking about the archetype of Zelda. And the character themselves had been like through, or herself had been through so much by the time the game, like just in the lore itself. So naturally that kind of it just seeps into your performance. I also feel like, she's a little older, so it's like, you get that incremental maturity that sets in, and I feel like you hear that in the voice, and it's also a direction to like make her a little bit more present and wise by the time she's in Tears of the Kingdom. So I don't know. I feel like there is a strong evolution. Some of it's subtle, but it's also like you can really hear the difference, and that was intentional, in fact, from beginning to end.
Well, thank you so much.
No, cheers.
Happy late birthday. Cue
Thank
singing
you.
of Happy Birthday.
Oh, I love this. Hold on. Can I record this? Yay! Best birthday gift. All right.
All right, are we ready? 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Patricia. Happy birthday to you.
And many more. Thank you. That's just, wow. I feel like shy and like
Well, yeah, because what else do you do when people are singing happy birthday to you other than like...
Yeah, you're like, hi. I don't know if you guys saw the cake that I got on Friday. Yeah. Oh, man, it was the best.
It was stunning.
It was beautiful, yeah, like a princess cake, and we lit it, and it was just, thank you so much, Game On Expo. It's been like the best birthday weekend to be here. Super cool. Oh, that's
Hi,
awesome.
Can you hear me?
I can, yes.
All right. So you said when you found out your Zelda, you looked into the lore using the books, and then I imagined the games later. It's a very complex lore for even Nintendo standards, I would imagine. Did you have to end up looking up YouTube videos and theories and all that stuff just to understand it?
So, no, I mean, I did do a lot of that stuff, but I think one thing that's very important, I said, like, I do research, and part of my process as an actor who has a theater background is I go in, I do as much research as possible, you assimilate and digest as much of this as possible, and then you throw it away, because the most important thing is once you've got a sort of a base and an inner world going, the script that you have in front of you is the script that matters. It's the only script that matters. You cannot play the past. You have to play, in fact, the immediate needs of that character right off the page. It's a really important thing, and it's really easy to get lost in, you try to play every moment all at once and make something big, but the most poignant moments are the more detailed, precise moments where a character just needs this next thing in front of them, and they're being informed by directly what's here. So it was a lot of what the script was that was given to me at the time in the end, and then the direction in the room and what they needed and what the team felt like was the direction that they wanted to go in, which is decided oftentimes in the group, in the room, on the floor. So you can give them different versions, and the stronger the choice, the better. But from that, they might say, we need you to do it the opposite way right now. So then you have to be able to adjust. And if you have an inner world going, you can do that pretty easily because you've done the research, but you can't get stuck in the research. So it's that fine line. So yeah, I did do that stuff, but like in the end, like you just have to trust the director and the people in the room and the fact that you understand stakes of a character in general, sort of like on the floor. Yeah. Cheers.
Thank you.
Hi, can you hear me?
I can, yeah.
All right.
You sound great. Nice shirt, by the way.
Oh, yeah, thanks.
So many awesome cosplays here.
Bought this at New York.
From New York? Oh, awesome.
Yeah, the Nintendo store.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah. So my question, it's a bit silly, but
there are no silly questions in this room. Or maybe there are, but I haven't encountered one.
Okay, so with you being the voice of a Nintendo princess, I was curious if you ever met or worked with the voice of Princess Peach at all.
I've met her, but I've never worked with her. No, that'd be nice to. Gosh, now I'm like blanking on her name. This is horrible. Do you remember her name? You guys, who's Princess Peach, the voice actor? Samantha, thank you.
Yeah.
She is a delightful person. We've done panels together. We've done, Nintendo panels at different Comic-Cons and things like that. But no, it's yet to be done, and hopefully could be done, that we would work together in any iteration, Nintendo or not.
Yeah, I totally played that. All right, thank you.
My pleasure.
Hi.
Hello.
Of the supporting cast for any of the Zelda games, what would you say would be your favorite character?
I did say Urbosa because she is actually,
True.
yes,
That is true,
she is my favorite. I like the random Korok friends that come to visit me. They're a constant delight. I want to say my least favorite is Ganon.
Yep.
I love hate him, like that sort of thing. Supporting cast. It's so funny because part of my experience of the characters is the voice actors behind them, too. I think of characters, the dog that you can't pet.
Yep. Thank you.
He's my friend, and I wish I got.
Thank you.
I really like Daruk as well. Daruk's awesome.
Hello, I got another one, but even though it's a favorite question, but it's already been taken. But even though I know your favorite was Zelda, but even though for the franchise Breath of the Wild, but who do you prefer as a great character, like playable, helpful favorite character, either Link or Zelda?
You mean just as a character?
Yeah, who do you prefer, either Link, the hero of Hyrule, or Princess Zelda herself?
I wish there was more of Princess Zelda, but that's because, how would I not think that? I prefer Zelda, honestly. I realize you play as Link and he's awesome, but yeah, I like the complexity of Zelda.
Answer. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
A dangerous question. Any ideas about the next Zelda game?
Look at you. It is dangerous, except that I was going to say it's dangerous to go alone, and you're going to have to. I have no idea. No idea, really, truly. That's about as boring and as accurate as an answer as I can give. You'll have to be patient, like the rest of us. I know. Can we give a big boo? Boo! We wish we knew. But we love them when they come out. Yay! But then, more time is a better game. Yeah. The stuff that they are accomplishing within the engines of their games are like,
It's outrageous.
I know. It's outrageous. Yeah.
Ms. Summersett, if you had any advice for anybody that wanted to break out into voice acting, what was the largest obstacle that you overcame to be able to get where you are now?
That's a really great question. I think being extremely hard on myself when I was younger is something that if I could go back and look at a younger version of my acting self, and there's so much uncertainty and unknowns when you're training in anything. You kind of don't know what kind of skill set you're actually gathering. You have to just have just trust that it's going to get you somewhere. I would trust that more, and the rejection that you get from auditions can be very tough, and that's just ongoing throughout your career. So I think the biggest obstacles I've experienced are just the amount of rejection and sort of unknown about what it means to develop skills and actually infuse joy into your work without being so hard on yourself all the time. Weirdly, that is it's so challenging. And also separating the work from your personal life like the rituals that you need to get into the work and out of the work, and deciding, like, there's a musculature about it. It's important to develop that in the same way that it's important to develop the skills of actually doing a character. It's important to know how to release that stuff and leave it behind, like leave it at the door, so that you're not like beating yourself up or twisting it in your mind, especially if you're playing really tricky characters that are very dark, stuff like that.
I myself do cosplay, and I feel that when I put on my costume, I am absolutely that character until the costume comes off. There is nothing of my personality left. I mean, I'm still me, but I'm thinking along the lines of how my character is. And when that costume goes off, those thoughts go out the door.
That's amazing. So you have a really strong kind of ritual around putting it on, taking it off. There's a strong psychology around that.
I'm putting on the skin of that character, and when I take it off, I feel that we relate on that. But.
And I would say be attentive to what characters you decide to put on yourself.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am.
My pleasure.
Hi.
Hi.
I asked a couple of other folks this question, but I'll ask you too. You're on an island for one night. You get a free drink of your choice. I won't ask questions. You get one other item with you for that one day. What do you take with you?
Can I take a person?
Yeah, sure.
That's not really an item, though.
It's a noun. It works.
I probably take a book. Honestly, I'd probably take a book. I'd probably take a Joan Didion book. That's what I'd like an old school Joan Didion book. I know it might be boring, but or a really nice therapeutic pillow. And I'd probably if I had a drink, it would be a combination of like coconut water and a Boulevardier. Yeah. My pleasure. Yeah, a book and a cocktail. One night.
Geralt of Rivia. I actually have I have two questions. I'm sorry. I got one for the crowd and then one for you.
Oh, okay.
For the crowd, can we tell Nintendo right now that we're ready for a female-led Zelda game with her as a protagonist? And my question for you is, what would you want to see in a game like that?
Oh, well, the same thing that I'd want to see in anything that features a female lead, which is complexity. Zelda with the Master Sword, and a character who's not shaped, because this happens a lot in video games, who's not shaped around the personality of a man. She has a female character, but is equally strong, and in the ways that she is, just a fully fleshed out character that has less to do with like a gender archetype and how those are built and structured around like warriors and things like that. Yeah, just a really, really nuanced character. That's what I would like to see. Somebody who is courageous and operates with a little bit of abandon.
Awesome.
That'd be fun.
Thank you.
I'd love to see Zelda do that. That'd be really cool.
Nintendo, you're on the clock.
No. I didn't say that. They said that.
Give the people what they want.
Yeah.
Hello again.
Hi.
So, what has been your favorite moment of being Zelda?
Oh, I could never sum up. I now get to look at it from a place of like, what are my favorite moments now? Which is like, it's been 7 years since this came out, and I've had so many sort of rides through this, in and out. The travel that's occurred from it, just meeting fans. Meeting fans is hands down one of the most fascinating and surprising and storied parts of being this character, because so many people connect to the franchise. So many people have just found so much solace in the games. People have overcome certain disabilities by playing the game, so both gameplay and the lore. The fans, that's my favorite part of being Zelda, honestly. Like, it's just, they go hand in hand in a way, so yeah.
Thank you.
Pleasure. Oh, yeah. Woo! Thank you. Like a beautiful way to close off the the Q&A. You buttoned my weekend. Thank you so much.
You know, I completely related with you earlier when you were talking about your dad completely being like, this is Patricia, you know, kind of
I
thing.
was like,
'cause
oh, Dad.
It,
Yeah.
it just takes me back to my childhood where my mom's shaking her fist angrily, like, get off your Nintendo. I'm like, that's not even what this is. You know, like, Mom, please.
You don't understand me.
Get off your Pokemans. I'm like, Mom.
Oh, that's brilliant.
I have one more question, since we don't have a line. How, if you've gotten any kind of negative criticisms that were like, okay, well, that wasn't needed, how do you handle that kind of stuff?
I've grown into it, I would say, because I think when this whole thing first blew up, it suddenly became one of those things where I garnered more public attention than I ever would have expected from one character. Like I had done 10 years of acting, tons of stage work, TV film work, and other voiced characters and video games. And suddenly this one character seemed to just put a blanket over all the other ones, and it became all about that. And then people just stuck a magnifying glass to it. So it's both extraordinary to watch that, and also you're removed from it sort of on the outside looking in and saying, like, people really care about this, but they're also projecting things onto me that has nothing to do with either what I did or stuff that wasn't my decision making, or even if it was, it's like I couldn't view it from this container. So I've sort of gotten used to it over time, and I've spoken about this, and people love to take those sound bites and like isolate them. And anything that's negative online will be magnified times 20. We all know this. The algorithms make it so. So you say one thing online about like, oh, I felt like that was really hard, and I might have been like a little bit bullied or harassed, and it's like, Patricia has been harassed by that, and that's like you've been speaking to somebody for 2 hours, and then like that's the headline that you see. So actually, that's been one of the tricky things for me to deal with. Even when I speak to serious publications, that's still going to be the headline that they choose, is stuff that you don't want them to choose, and that you just say, like, look, I'm going to give you like this amount of information in an interview, and they're going to pull out whatever they think people are going to clickbait on. They just clickbait the crap out of everything. I'm still getting used to that, but I would say in general, you just have to remove yourself from the work, and you have to keep trying to do good work and know that as an actor, the best stuff that you have is the stuff that's in front of you. The stuff that you haven't done yet, the stuff that you're doing now, it's not about what you've done. You can celebrate that, and you can use it as an experience. But my best work is in front of me. I mean, now I'm like I'm an actor who's been in this business for like 20 years, and I know that I'm kind of in my prime, and I could create all sorts of interesting things based on my experiences, and it's just going to get better and better. So I like to take that approach to it. And continuing ed actually really helps a lot, like training my voice to do new skills, new skills, and surrounding yourself with people who you can trust in your personal life. Be very careful who you put in your life, and why. You need grounded people in your life, especially when you're in any industry, but definitely in this industry. There's a lot of fluff, there's a lot of plastic, and there's a lot of people looking at your algorithms and the things around you, and they're like, and judging you based on these really, really superficial, unnecessary things. And at the end of the day, they all disappear, and you just have yourself, and you have the people who you've spent in times investing in. So I'm doing a lot of that right now, honestly, in my life. Just been a lot of perspective shifting, which is, I guess, a way of just dealing with this career and surviving it for many, many years, and hopefully thriving in it as I get older. So yeah, that's a really long-winded answer, but it's a complex question, because I think, there is so much rejection in this career. And there's so many things that you can celebrate on like a day-to-day basis, like small leaps and bounds, and you have to do that to make it worthwhile. Otherwise, you're just hard on yourself and focused on things that are completely out of your control. You got to focus on the things that you can control.
And also, at the end of the day, you're still being chosen by Nintendo, so
It's
hair
true.
flip. Hair flip the haters.
Yeah, totally. Been very lucky.
Thank you so much for your time. I'm so appreciative. Let's give it one more round of applause for Patricia.
Thank you.
This is gonna take Cracker Jack timing, Wang. Total concentration. You ready, Jack? I was born ready. You will come out no more. What? no more. You're out of your mind, Wang. God bless you. It's all in the reflexes.